an opportunity for me to mentor boys. Whenever you get an opportunity to mentor boys, take that opportunity preciously, because it is a bit easier to build boys than to mend broken men. It is a little easier to build boys than to mend broken men. And so it's an opportunity to build boys who will now turn into men who will shape other men. Father, we continue to thank you for this opportunity that we have a conversation, especially as men, a conversation that is about sharpening one another as iron sharpens iron. So a man shall sharpen another man, as your word tells us. Thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for everyone who has spared their precious data and precious time to be part of this call and conversation. I pray that our conversation shall be fruitful, shall be enriching, shall be rewarding. That at the end of this conversation, we shall have learnt more and more for the betterment of our society, especially for our boys and young men and men at large. Bless us and bless our time together. In Jesus' name, I pray and believe. Amen. Um, before I joined the boys' school, I was a chaplain in a mixed school. So I have had an opportunity to be a pastor for young men, but also coming from pastoring a mixed setting where I was pastoring young girls and boys. And so, where I draw a comparison, you will understand that that's where I'm coming from. The topic is experience in experience with boys. And so, most of my conversation will be drawn from my experience. And I believe some of these experiences may cut across because what boys go through more or less may more or less be the same, irrespective of the environment they're exposed to, the background, the schools they attend, the faith communities they subscribe to. But some of the things they are constants all through as I share my experience. To begin with, uh, I have constantly seen the aspiration to be great among boys. They have this aspiration to be great. They are even more comfortable to be addressed as young men than boys. Even those who are still teenagers, when you say, "How are you, young man?" they will feel more, they will respond with vigor and energy than when you say, "You boys, get out from here." So there's that aspiration to be great. Just yes, this Sunday I had a handover of chapel committee and I gave them certificates. And I wrote on their certificates their names beginning with Mr. Mr. Amanya Reagan, Mr. Who. Now, these boys were super excited that for the first time in their life, of course, they are still young, for the first time in their life, they are addressed as Mr. And the reason I did that was to inspire them to tell you that this is where you're heading. Time to come, you'll be addressed as Mr. So let me prepare you early enough to know that someone will be addressing you as Mr. So and so. Eh, so there's a boy who came and told me that actually I read that certificate more than 10 times. Was it a mistake? Is it me being addressed as Mr. at age 17? So they enjoy greatness. Actually, they struggle when they are belittled. When they are belittled. So they enjoy being addressed as young men. They want to be great. They also want to listen to great things. I have had preachers whom I've invited, and when someone begins introducing themselves, I am a CEO of something. Now you command the audience. Just your profile. I am a CEO of something. I work with this organization. But when you come and tell them, I am a chapati, I sell chapatis, even if it's a good business, but they will not give you audience. So they want to listen to big stories. They want to listen to big things. They are inspired more by big stories, big things than they are not inspired more by pie charts, statistics. Even statistics for the time I've been, they don't inspire them. But when someone says, I walked through this journey and I'm here, they listen more. Praise the Lord. So they want to listen. That's why when you bring a conversation of big cars, they want to know what is the latest car. When you bring a conversation of big houses, when you bring a conversation of big travels, so they are more inspired. Like recently, I traveled to Kenya and I used Uganda Airlines. So when I came on assembly and I was telling them the experience in the skies, even when the journey was short, of course, Nairobi, Entebbe to Nairobi is short, about 55 minutes, they were listening. And then after they came and asked me questions, what do you need to travel out of the country? I told them, you need the passport. They asked me, how much is a passport? And these were not common among girls when I was pastoring girls. Girls, they are inspired, they pay attention to detail. And they tell you, passport. I said, ordinary is 250. I said, okay. So if I save 10K every term, how long will it take me to get 250? I need a passport. I said, okay. You need a passport, you need a yellow fever card, you need also to pay for visa. So they would want the details that you need to get a visa is that you must be having no record of criminal record because you get a certificate from Interpol. Hey, they're like, okay. So I need to keep my record clean. So those are the boys. Then also boys, they are adventurous, curious, and risk takers. If you park a motorcycle, you'll see them touching the motorcycle and see, how if someone has been riding it, can I also try it? They're so curious, they're adventurous, and they are risk takers. So it is important to help them to take calculated risks. If there is something to push, you see them trying to see, can I push this static object and get it away from here? If there are logs, like firewood, big logs that need to be split into firewood, you see them trying, even those who have never tried it, and some even harm themselves, hurt themselves. And what one thing I've learned with boys, give them an opportunity to give them an allowance to make mistakes. Even the Bible talks about giving allowance of mistakes. It is from those mistakes that they learn. Sometimes you will tell them, don't touch fire, and they instead touch. Why is he telling us not to touch this fire? And when they touch and get burnt, they will no longer touch. So they are risk takers. They want to take risks, but it is important to help them to take calculated risks. Even before you take this risk, can you calculate the price? That's why they take risks of even betting, taking their fees into betting. And so you have to bring someone who has been through that, who took the money into betting and lost their path of education, or they lost it all, and then they need to know now. So sometimes they listen to testimonies of people and they are inspired. It is also important to know that boys also suffer with esteem issues. Boys suffer with esteem issues. They need someone to speak life into their life. We also encounter boys whose life is actually lifeless because someone told them they can't make it. There's a boy who came and told me that he had a quarrel with his father, and the father told him that no wonder we didn't have you on program, that you came by mistake. Me and your mother, we never had you on program. So the boy has been struggling with that low esteem, believing he was not on program. And I've had to encourage him and tell him, no, the fact that God allowed you to be born and to live this far had you on program. It doesn't matter whether your parents had you on program, but God had you on program. So they suffer with esteem issues. Some, especially those who were belittled by even their primary teachers, and they are called dense, they are called damp, they are called ignorant. They suffer with such esteem, low esteem issues stemming from what they were told or how they were raised. But they also struggle to open up. If you sit in an office and wait for boys to come for counseling, you never get one. For them, they want you to find them in the dining, sit with them as you're sharing with them food. They'll tell you, by the way, chaplain, I am struggling with this and this. Or find them playing football, or for them, they want you to take the church where they are, to take counseling services where they are, to take mentorship lessons where they are. So when you sit with them in their dormitory, that's when they tell you. So sometimes I have to move in their dormitories. Sometimes I have to go to the kitchen and even eat the posho with them. And then after one will open up. So I've learned that boys open up when you open up to them. But before you open up to them, they won't open up. They open up when you open up to them. And when they open up to you, they are expecting three things. One, they don't want to be judged. Once they are judged, they will never open up to you again. Secondly, they want to be assured of confidentiality. If they open up to you and they hear their story elsewhere, they will never open up to you again. Thirdly, they open up to you so that you can also share the burden. They want to be understood. Even if they will tell you, by the way, I was at home and I fell in love with the maid. And whenever I'm here at school, I am thinking about the maid. At that point, for them, they don't want you to judge them. How on earth can you fall in love with your maid? Who are you? They want you to listen to them. So are you comfortable in that relationship? They want you to engage them in a conversation that is healthy and not judging them, not so that you arrive at a solution with them, and and so they open up when you open up to them. In these schools, I have learned that boys are attracted to food. If you organize an event and you tell them that it is going to climax in food, they will give it audience because at their age they have high appetite for food and they treasure more of quantity than quality. So, and they're even willing to help you in preparing that food. So, guys, activities and make sure that at least we can introduce in some little bit of cassava, some little bit of matoke, so that they can, at the end of the day, they enjoy eating. And for them, they have their slogan that an empty stomach does not listen to the gospel. So when you're dealing with boys, you might make sure that you respect meals times. When it is their meals time, they even become a little noisy, and they are sending a signal that they are no longer attentive. In boys' schools, I've learned that when you make altar calls, you will not even get the big numbers as you expect. For them, they carefully think about it. And when boys decide to get born again, they surely get born again. They surely get born again. I've seen it several times. They come and get born again, and when they get born again, they're also interested in responsibility. Responsibility keeps them in chapel. They will ask you when you want people, especially things to do with cleaning, organizing chapel, playing instruments, lifting this and that. They are always eager to give a hand. I am always encouraged by that. You don't struggle when you're pastoring boys. They don't struggle, and they can share you that they will fill the multi-purpose hall with chairs in no minute. But then also they want motivation. They want motivation, especially that is in line with food. But I enjoy how they want to learn instruments. You never struggle. Like now, I am struggling with 8 people who know how to play keyboard, and I have only 2 keyboards in school. So 8. So I have to draw a timetable. But when I was with girls, I used to have like one girl interested in playing a keyboard. So boys, they are curious. They want to learn instruments. Actually, they burden me to look for more instruments. Recently, I brought in a guitar. Now I'm looking for jazz drums, so that they are willing to learn. Um, One time, I have a program here at school called Table of Men. I have a program called Table of Men. So we sit on a round table and discuss. We had to copy this initiative from a secular world, actually, that many decisions, men make decisions on a table, um, especially those who drink, those who go out. You find they negotiate big deals on a round table where there is a drink, where there is something to eat. Others have clubs, they belong to drinking clubs. So they have a table. So we said, can we also introduce this in church setting, table of men, where we sit at a table and discuss issues that affect us as men, and you initiate a conversation and they enjoy it. Sometimes we give them even small things like popcorn so that we are on a table of men. Now, the first table of men, we had a topic: what makes a man a man? And that was a topic. And it was interesting, the responses. One of the boys said, what makes a man is being able to perform. We said, what do you mean by perform? That when he's functioning, when his manhood is functioning. I said, we interrogated him further. What do you mean? He says, me, I believe if a man does not satisfy a woman in bed, he's not man enough. I said, but you're still young. How do you know these things? Another one is saying, what makes a man is when he has some money. I says, okay. So he says a man should not have an empty wallet. And so many answers came on. So we have always had those topics on a table of men, and they enjoy it. It happens every time. Um, I have learned that boys also cry. But the difference here is that they have been told so many times that big boys don't cry, but they also have emotional pain that they need to release through crying. And so we constantly remind them that it is okay for boys to cry. The difference is you may isolate yourself, you don't have to cry in public, but don't break down when actually you can shed off the emotional pain through crying. We have also learned that boys also break down, things break them down. They're also emotional beings. Boys also break down, whether they have lost a friend, or they have lost money, or they have lost a deal, or they have lost in soccer, especially soccer. I have seen boys cry after losing a match terribly, and others are claiming not to cry, but they are feeling the pain. So things that matters to them so much, they make them break down. Could be soccer, things could be losing in a competition, even debating. So it is important to give them the emotional support, to stand with them. They also feel supported when someone hugs them. I didn't know that, but I've learned it over working with boys, that boys also, when they are hugged, they feel loved, they feel embraced. I thought it was a girlish issue, but they also feel blessed. They want to feel loved, which is the greatest need for all young people, boys and girls. They want an environment where they feel loved, where they feel appreciated, where they feel valued, where they feel validated. So if this does not happen, they look for it elsewhere. I have had boys who run to wrong places looking for acceptance, validation, looking for being valued and appreciated, to an extent of even going for sugar mummies, to an extent of even going for drugs, to an extent of going for. So they also, boys have emotions. I've said that. Boys also feel insecure. I've also encountered that they also have insecurities. So they need someone to address their insecurities. They also feel insecure. Some top performers, they may feel insecure when they begin to get competitors. Sometimes they want to even begin discussing alone. Others feel um, get lost in comparisons and competition. So we're always there to help them to get, even if it's competition, but to go for healthy competition, not competition of hiding someone's books because you don't want them to defeat you in class, not competition of wanting to harm someone so that they don't play the next match when it is inter-house competitions. So we told them, can we have healthy competition where you can congratulate the winner and the loser can congratulate the winner? So we introduced what we call tea party for the losers in elections to handle post-election trauma. I didn't know that, like now we're in election season, but I didn't know that also there's trauma after elections in schools, but I've seen that. And so as chaplains, we introduced tea party for the losers. So when they come for this party, we organize a party for only losers, not winners, to get them shed of the pain of elections, because most of them go for these students' elections with they expecting either win or a win. No one wants to think of a loss, and after loss, they get traumatized. Boys get comfortable even putting money in elections, even when the ministry has banned this and schools ban this. But silently, where we don't reach, money exchanges hands. They buy, they don't buy them sweets and flowers, that's for girls. For them, they will buy them something heavy on the canteen, whether it is a cake, whether it is cassava, whether it is something to eat. So money exchanges hands somewhere. And after elections, someone is going through trauma. So whenever we organize like a tea party and you prepare milk tea, so they begin counting. Boys are good at calculating. Now you've invested like 5K in each one of us. I invested 10K in the elections. Now they have given me tea for 5K. At least there's a sigh of relief. That's how boys count. So it's important to give them that psychosocial support, even post elections, post football matches. Um, Boys get abused too. We have also encountered cases where boys are abused. I got a case where a boy is in senior one. He tells me that when he was in his P7 vacation, the parents left him with the maid, who has a maid, a mother of two, who is a maid. They thought the mother of two is responsible and old, and the boy is young, too innocent. So they left them two in the house to take care of this boy. He says one time this maid, after showering, she was naked in her room, called this boy and said, come, 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 come. It was the first time this boy to see a naked woman. And eventually she kept wanting to see her and touch her. The rest is history. So the boy got addicted. The parents didn't know. And how I got to know, this boy would come to me and say, Chaplain, give me your phone. I want to call my parents. But as he's making a call, he would go away, and I would tell him, but you're running away from me and from my house. Is no net. Do you mean there's no network here at my house? I says I'm calling my parents, until I interrogated him and told me, by the I'm always calling the maid at home, and this is what happened. So that boy was abused, but we helped him. Boys also get abused by those who are older than them, but they struggle to open up, not until you interrogate them further, but also befriend them. That's when they open up. Boys also get mental illnesses. They also get mental illnesses, things of depression, things of anxiety, things of stress. They also get these, and as you get closer to them, they can be helped. It is important to constantly remind these boys that it is not unmanly to struggle. It is not unmanly to struggle. So they want especially now we are handling boys that fall in a different generation that is a little soft. So some of them don't believe that struggle is part of life. So we have to put effort to help them to know that it is not unmanly to struggle, to run out of an empty, to run with an empty pocket, to fail in class, to fail to clear fees in time, and so on and so forth. These boys, they need encouragement. They need someone to tap on their shoulder and tell them you can make it. That is enough. You can make it. You're heading somewhere. You are destined for greatness. You are unstoppable. They want someone to tap on their shoulder and say, dude, dude, you're smart. And they will now work hard to be smarter. So they need encouragement. Sometimes I tell them you have a nice handwriting and they improve even further. Sometimes they always want you to look out for the positive on them and then amplify that positive instead of looking for the negative. So it is important to raise their esteem, help them believe in themselves because they are still in a young age where they are innocent. They are still innocent. What you speak into their life, it comes into being. What you speak into their life comes into being. They will live their entire life believing I will make it. And never underestimate the small things you tell them, the small things you do them. Actually, they remember more what you do to them than what you say to them. Like now, those whom I gave certificates written on Mister, getting someone who is 17 and you write and you call them Mister. So they live their life to believe I can now be a Mister. Um, so boys shouldn't be belittled. They shouldn't be silenced. They shouldn't be silenced. And um, I have encountered a boy who says that I have a challenge. Whenever I'm at home, they always tell me to go and do and graze goats and fetch firewood and bring water. And then my sisters are telling me my sister should be reading because for them they need ample time to read. And the boy feels I am uncomfortable with that setting. So for me being born a boy, I have to indulge in all this manual work while my sisters are reading, and yet you're reading to get the same grades. So the boy feels that that treatment at home by their parents, it's unfair. And I try to encourage him and say, maybe they want you to grow up knowing how to do all this manual work. I says, but also my sisters need to know. He says, but uh, how come they say my sisters need more time to read, but me, I should now be doing all this work? So I tell him, now, that should tell you that they believe that you are able, that once you begin to read, you will read and outcompete them. It's like, okay. So it is important to remind them of what it means to be a boy child, especially in an African home. By and large, we must accept that the African home still holds the boy child in high esteem and high regard. Some mothers have even lost their marriages simply because they cannot give birth to a boy child. When actually, biologically and genetically, it's the man who determines the sex of the child. They treasures the boy child. They look at him as a potential heir. They look at him as someone to give protection. They look at this child, a boy child, as someone uh, who will later become someone to take care of their parents after, of course, some of the things cut across, but there are a lot that the family looks out in them. Boys' quarters are no girls' quarters. That how come homes have boys' quarters and then no girls' quarters? And I tried to figure out. I said, one, you see, they look at you as a source of protection. So for you outside in the boys' quarters, protect those who are in the main house. It's like, this is serious. I said also, secondly, if now this is also preparing you that you need to grow and after prepare your own home. So first you were in the main house, they got you out of the main house, now to the boys' quarters. But also in the boys' quarters, they can wake up and they want to put different things there. So it is preparation for you to go and establish your own home. So in other words, you're called to work hard. So boys ask questions. So recently another boy asked me, why do they say ladies and gentlemen? Why don't people say gentle ladies and gentlemen? Why for ladies they just say ladies, but for us men they add gentlemen? So I told this boy that, do you know that that is a call to gentleness? So you're supposed to be gentle. Actually, by saying gentleman, you're called to a place of gentleness. So work hard. So boys are curious. They will ask you questions that you least expect. And to me, when they ask questions, it is always an opportunity presented for them to learn. I would have said more and more and more, but it is an opportunity I treasure, mentoring boys, listening to them, interacting with them. And I believe in so doing, we are shaping society. I've always said to people who talk about girls being abused, girls being marginalized, etc. I've always told people that the security of the girl child is in a well mentored boy child. That the security of a girl child is in a well mentored boy child. If we cannot only advocate for the emancipation and whatever of girls and leaving boys behind, when actually the security of a girl child is in a well-mentored boy child. Thank you so much for listening to me, and to God be the glory. Over to
Amen.
you, our leader.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. It's been a lot to learn, a lot we have known more. I see Brother Dixon has said he has learned more how to speak what to tell the boys. The conversation was really tough in the chat room because people are learning a lot. It was very nice teaching. I'm not even seeing any questions. I think they've understood everything in good depth and well explained. The questions are not coming in. Do we have any questions? I think people have picked up everything and have taken it well. I guess out of the number of people here, 36, if we are all going to pass this information to the different boys, the Uganda of tomorrow will be a very better Uganda than this one we are seeing now. Because the boy child has been neglected, but I think Uganda needs more people like you. It has been very great insight. I've not seen any question, only appreciations and add-ons. I've added on. I've seen people even organizing a boy child, the youthful tea table. I know we have learned a lot. Thank you, and thank you so much. Let me call on let me call Babas Gereshom. Could you come and give a vote of thanks to our speaker?
Silver, there's
There
some
is a question
questions
in
in
the
the
chat.
chat.
Oh, I had not seen. I was waiting for them. I had not seen. The question goes, Reverend Benson, hope you're still on. How do we compliment the boy child without them getting attached to you? How do we compliment the boy child without them getting attached to you? Reverend Benson can take on that question.
Um, yes. Am I still unmuted?
Yes, we are getting you, Reverend.
Okay, good. You see, complimenting boys, uh, if you tell them, for example, that shirt looks cool on you, um, they will, and you're being honest. By the way, complimenting someone, sometimes you need, when you're honest, and they had already they had begun like feeling it in themselves. It's just affirmation. That's why others call it words of affirmation. You don't repeatedly do that. Secondly, you don't have to compliment them in isolation, even in open, so that they don't feel, especially for the female teachers. I understand what it means for the females complimenting a boy and the risk of feeling attached. But if it is honest, if it is in the open, and also the phrasing, uh, you may add, keep it up. Hmm? You look organized, keep it up. Like that may not bring any form of attachment. Thank you.
Reverend, there is another question which came through. I don't know if you saw it from Uncle Dixon, which was saying, what happens when a boy fears relating with the opposite sex? And how do I help such a boy?
What happens when a boy fears relating with the opposite sex? How do I help such a boy? Um, One, these struggles can always be there, especially where, like in such environment where they do not interact on a daily basis. But also to help them to know that it is not for I mean, we all have introverts, extroverts. This is usually with introverts. Introverts are people who are more reserved, who are more into themselves. But the more they get exposed to the opposite sex, they get free. I've had people who have been raised in environment where there are so many sisters. I mean, so many girls, even in a homestead, not necessarily sisters, cousins, and they interact often. And then there are boys who have been raised in an environment of only boys, and even they now go to a boys' school. So where they are not so free, there can be that timid, that fear. But that's why even in schools we create opportunities like conferences where they go out, meet girls. We create like here. This is a boys' school, but we have a girls' school called Nyasano Girls. So in the term, we get like 2 or 3 times when they get to meet. Either it's a conference, either it's a seminar. We also have joint service. So in the process, they get along. Then also, how can we help a boy child with a problem but doesn't want to talk about it? And when you try to help them, they want you to ignore. Don't give up. If you're dealing with boys, don't give up. Sometimes boys, after taking a cup of tea together, then after they will open up. Sometimes after sharing some popcorns together, like don't give up. If you want to help a boy, even if they are ignoring, You don't give up. Sometimes they reveal information in bits, in bits, in bits. So don't give up if you're determined to help a boy. How do you tame the excessive appetite for girls of these boys' schools? Sometimes timid, sometimes they may affect their future relationship. One, I've always told my boys that attraction to the opposite sex is normal, especially where those that interact with them in holidays. But self control is key. Second, I've always told these boys that no one has ever died of an election. There's no boy who has ever been told that this one elected and died. So I said, it is okay. If you see it stand, allow it to stand, and the way it stands, the way it will fall. And when you're dealing with boys, you tell these things openly. They also need that conversation openly. Some of them, not to be controlled by their thing, but excessive appetite for girls. This sometimes is deeper than what we see. Maybe it may stem from exposure to pornography, may stem from exposure to sex talks in where they go, or may be. I mean, it always has a background to it, but it is tameable. The beauty about it is that it is tameable. It will affect their future relationship if they are timid. I don't think so. I don't think so. I've seen people whom even the first girl they met and related with ended up in marriage and they're happily married. So someone doesn't have to go around making internship on people's hearts until they get their final placement. No, that's too bad. So it does not affect their future relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reverend. As if there is no other question in the chat, let me welcome Uncle Dixon to come and say a word as we draw towards the end of today's meeting. Over to you, Uncle Dixon.
Thank you so much, Doctor, and thank you so much, Silva, for moderating us. And to our speaker, thank you so much for sharing your very real experience with boys and giving us the tips of what we should do with them. I personally have learned a lot because I have my two boys. And I think I was relating with some of the things that you are saying concerning my boys, especially my Dixon Junior who is in high school. And I think I'm happy that I've learned how I will be talking to him, maybe sometimes addressing him as Mr. Actually, I see when the mom addresses them as Mr. You see them feel very happy, big. And so I think it's something that I'm also going to be intentional about it. As we also sharing, I was wondering on how best we can improve on their self-esteem, especially these ones who are from a very, very humble backgrounds. I don't know how you've been able to help them, those ones who come, they don't have pocket money, or maybe they are not, their English is not good, maybe they don't have good shoes or good clothes, and they are timid and they don't want to come out and even when they have the ability and the potential to do things wonderfully, like leadership, participating in leadership, or even to go out for such a conference that you're talking about, but they fear themselves. I don't know how Reverend have been able to help such a kind of boys in high school. Maybe you can first help us with that. And also, this also comes back to our homes where we have introverts that are not willing to talk, or some I've had some instances where you find that someone has a boy who was very talkative when they were very young, but when they come to the adolescence, now the person becomes reserved and an introvert of some sort. So how do you also help such a kind of and of course also cuts across to girls, not only boys. I think in adolescence some of them want to calm down and first slow down and be quiet and calm, but which actually maybe may not be good. I don't know. So what advice would you give to parents who are having adolescents who are going through such a kind of challenges with their people?
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Dixon. I must admit that some of these efforts and interventions are work in progress. Like now, dealing with students, boys who have a low self esteem, stemming from family background, it's always also work in progress. And I must admit that there, when you apply this and this effort, and you feel this is taking longer than I expected, or I am applying this medicine and this patient is not responding to the medicine. But I have seen cases where you look out for the good in this boy, and you want to uplift that. I remember I have a boy. This boy is coming from a poor family background. He's being helped by a certain relative. The boy, like you said, doesn't speak good English like others would expect. On top of that, the boy doesn't perform in class. On top of that, the boy is always dirty. On top of that, the boy, physically, he has, I don't know, this where you find the front teeth are protruding out of the mouth. And so whenever he sees himself in the mirror, he doesn't like himself. So it's all are compiled on one boy. And so recently I called him in chapel and I'm like, there is no boy who has been lifting these microphones like Arnold. I gave him a notebook. And the other boys were like, the Arnold, we know how he's dirty. He will even misuse this notebook. I said, even if he misuses it, but he's deserved it. But the boy has all sorts of challenges. And so, but we have walked the journey with him, slowly by slowly, to help him believe in himself amidst all these challenges. And whenever he's caught in a case in staff room, I have prepared my staff members not to really quickly administer punishment to him, to understand his background, so that we create a conducive, favorable environment that does not stigmatize him the more. Understanding someone, sometimes all they need is just understanding. We may not have even all the solutions, but understand them and treat them in their category. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's one more question actually that has come in as we conclude. If I come back to give my concluding remarks, but this one says, my question is why this why is it very hard for us men mostly? Why my question is why that it very hard? Why is it very hard for us men mostly finding it very hard to relate with the sons? I think he wants to know why men can't relate very well with their sons. Over to you, Reverend.
Okay. Why is it hard for men to relate with their sons? You see, there is no school for parenting. There's no school for parenting. Most likely, how we are parented is how we shall parent the kids we give birth to. So it is important now for us who have such exposure, for us who have such meetings, to define, to break the narrative, to break the cycle, and change the narrative and create a different kind of parenting where boys and fathers will be closer, where fathers will be closer to their sons. I remember growing up, the first time I sat with my father to discuss man-to-man issues was when I was in my senior six vacation. Can you imagine? And then he sat me down and said, Ben, now you've grown up. Are you listening to me? I said, yes. If you ever impregnate someone's daughter, don't come to my house. Have you heard? Yes. So actually, the first conversation with my father was intimidation. So he knew I was now joining university. So that message kept re-echoing me. He says, if you ever impregnate someone's daughter, don't come here. So I guess also that's how he was maybe raised. And so his model of parenting was his father. So it's upon us now for us to become good role models, good father figures to those who will give birth to. But it is possible and it is healthy. People, you will always notice a difference among boys. Boys who have had a close touch with their fathers or even their uncles, who's actually a father figure in their life, they are different with those who have not had one. Boys, of course, by they are always closer to their mothers, but they also need that fatherly touch.
Okay. Thank you so much, Reverend, for what you've shared. Surely, this has been a very wonderful evening for us to learn a lot from you. And I think when you shared your experience with your dad, it speaks a lot to us who are parents here on how best we should not wait for the time when we are only giving intimidations, but just begin a good relationship step by step, and we get there where we can do wonders. So I'm grateful for that, and I hope that all of us tonight have learned a lot. I think for sure intimidations don't help. What we need is to, as Jack is saying, we need to break the cycle and be different. So thank you so much. Uh, someone is saying that if I tell my son that if he impregnates someone's daughter, the place to run is to his home. Yeah, I think that's the best way to encourage our children to know that we are there for them in hard times and in all situations. We also keep telling them that even if you make any mistake and they chase you from school, or even if you have made a grave mistake at school, a gross crime at school, and something is happening, never be intimidated to tell us. Just tell us, because at the end of the day, it's us to come to your rescue. So we've encouraged them to always be open, always speak up. And so when something happens, they keep saying, "Ah, they have lost this, they have stolen this." Now I have, and but you guys, can't you? Why is that every time you're reporting losing things? But we again say, okay, it's okay. It's good that you have told me, now I know. And so keep telling me more and more when it happens. And we become better and better. So we need to make sure that we are the best in giving security, in giving safety, and prompting good things for them. So that yeah, they can know what it means. Thank you so much, our Reverend Benson. I know your passion for the boy child very well. I know how we started the Men of Purpose together at UCU, how you really helped to shape it. I know how you worked well with that bishop, and how you really uh, got into this from the word when he came up with the boy child theme. So I know where your heart is, and I'm sure that you were the best person to come and share about this, and you've really given us very good insights, which I know they are going to make us better and better. And my prayer to God will continue to use you. I've loved the way you are doing a lot of things, mentoring the boy child, understanding the boy child, and how best you can minister to them in a very simple way that can bring them on board. Those kind of round table talks, the teas that you're making for losers to bring them on board. Actually, I also volunteered to become a virtual mentor for Arnold. I'm sure through you we can really help him to become better and appreciate himself. Yeah, so I have really loved how you've shared this gospel, how you opened my mind. That even as I'm doing a boy child mentorship program at UCU, the Men of Purpose, I think I need to be more intentional. Other things that you've reopened my mind to go deep and beyond, and also to know where to find them. I know that this many can't look for us; it's us to look for them. Even when it's not easy, but at least you've echoed that in my ears, and so I'll be looking forward to look for them and find them where they are, where they feel comfortable. And I also, one thing I've learned from men is they like to speak in groups more than even when they're individuals. In groups, somehow they try to open up, though not so deep, but that's why they begin from. Then when you go off, they follow you up, and then they say, by the way, me, I'm struggling with this alone. So how do how do I get help? How can I be helped with this and that? Yeah, so I think this was a wonderful evening well spent. Brethren, thank you so much for coming and for giving a warmth to our Reverend. Thank you so much, members. For Ambrose, who thought that you had missed a lot, no, you have not missed. Just log on our YouTube channel. I pray Sharon can share the link here. You'll get everything, and also all these other messages that you feel you have missed. You could always get to us, or you could go straight to the the YouTube channel, and you get all the information, all the talks, either lunch hour or morning glory or women connect or our men's fellowship or even the family hour. All those talks are there. Just a matter of getting to us or going there yourself. If you don't get what you want, but you remember exactly that the title or anything or the speaker and maybe the dates, then you can reach to Sharon, you can reach to Joseph, or you can even reach to me. We will be able to help you and get you something good that you really expect. And we always here every Tuesday. Our target is that we always bring speakers who are experienced in the area they're going to be talking about. So we have the best for you. Tune in every Monday, every Tuesday, and every Thursday. We always have best speakers. And you don't have to go and pay for these talks somewhere else and spend the money. When actually we already have similar things that are here for free and for you. It's just what you need is to attend. For the youth who are looking forward to meet the Mchara governor and the governor, we are there for you. Just give us the date. We'll be able to really, have a cup of tea with you and have fun. Just know. Otherwise, brethren, God bless you so much. Our, our Reverend, greetings to your family. Thank you so much for coming, and we shall invite you once again, and you share more with us about the boys. Because even as someone who worked with the youth at the province, at official office for the youth, you know a lot across the country concerning the youth. So you are the best speaker for this, and we shall soon look out for you. Brethren, good night. God bless you. I'm going to request Reverend again to